Hey, welcome to my basement, everybody.
Hey,
hello, Scott Jones.
How are you? Welcome to the
basement.
Nice to see you.
I can't believe how incredible the weather has been.
Incredibly good looking I am, yes.
Yeah,
what
well,
else?
I got over that. No, we've been out in the field shooting top 100s, and every day I come home and my arms are baked.
Yep, farmer's tans.
But my face is fine because I have all that makeup on, so
it's
no
so
problems.
funny when I take my top off and I go home and I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It looks like just a head and two disembodied arms floating because the middle section of me, ghost white.
So you blend in with your bathroom wall?
It's kind of scary.
Right.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if you can hear this out there, but...
can you hear our tans?
Bong.
What is that?
Bong.
What is that?
Well, it's the end of the summer movie season.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
That's right. We've
what a
seen them
shit
all.
Summer. Yeah, we have seen them all.
It was
There's nothing
it was
left.
a bit deflating. I mean, there was some fun, but
my
nothing so revolutionary or nothing that took our breath away. I mean, that 1-2 punch of Avengers and Looper last year was it, man, and there was nothing like that.
Yeah,
this year.
Hollywood is fucked. Let me tell you something. We've been doing our 100 greatest films of all time. We're going back and looking at, I mean, and maybe that's part of it because all of these films just seem so, they seem to be left
Permanent.
wanting and small next to all these great movies that we're watching day in and day out in the name of preparing for these shows. But you know, I think even without that, you know, it wasn't a fun summer. It wasn't a great summer. It was a lot of you know, I just felt like there was so much redundancy between the movies. So many of the same shots over and over.
So
and
what
over
you know,
again.
overall, what was your favorite summer movie? Was it the Seth
Two
Rogen?
Guns, maybe?
No, come on, the Seth Rogen movie. I didn't see that one.
Oh, This Is the End.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I know it's not for everybody, and you have to be fans of all of those guys in order to get some enjoyment out of it, but I love all those guys. I think they're all super talented.
They're
I wish
wicked.
that we were friends, but you know, the truth is...
We have to have a lot more money.
I'm not friends with them.
Yeah.
And I never will be friends with them.
Well, we'd have to move to Hollywood and be rich.
But Bill Hader is getting bigger now. He's not in the movie, but maybe I can catch him on his way up.
Okay.
I can friend him now before he gets too big.
Try Skyping him. Maybe his Skype name is Bill.
Even Baruchel's too big now.
Bill Hader.
He won't even return my calls.
He won't?
Nope. That's the end of it.
God, and
What about you? What was your favorite movie of the summer?
It was Elysium, which I know you were really disappointed with, and
the more I think about it, the more disappointed.
Yeah, no, look, there's big issues with the film, but I just love the world that Blomkamp created. And we've gone over this, but it was my fave, and then my second fave
You're
was
in no mood to fight today.
Iron Man 3. Well, I have my taste, you have your taste.
My fave.
But
okay, keep going.
I still want to see that This Is the End. Is that right? That's the name of it?
That's the name of it. And we also saw The World's End, which also let us both down.
Yeah.
Even you know what?
Well, the review airs today, I think, on the show, so we can talk about it.
But you know what? I listened to Mark Maron's WTF podcast, and that's what I do. I live a little further away from the studio than I used to, and so I have a longer walk to work, and so I listened to half of it on the way in and the other half on the way out. He interviewed Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg, I just love.
Me too.
I love that guy. Let's get him on the podcast.
I would love to have
I would love to be friends with Simon Pegg. He's so smart and he's so articulate, and he seems so grateful to be at the station that he's at in life. And he talks about the incredible fortune that they. I mean, but he also got lucky. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are talented who just never get their break. They got their break with Spaced.
Yeah.
You know, he and Edgar Wright worked on that show together.
And Nick Frost.
And they you know, they've made the most of their opportunities. That's the other side of it too. But they got a big break, and he recognizes that. Just the same way, there's lots of other talented people out there like you and me. You and I, we got a little bit lucky along the way.
Absolutely.
I think luck is always a little bit part of life. You can work as hard as you can work, and then you got to get a little bit lucky at a certain point.
You have to get lucky, and you also have to be consistent, and you have to not drop the ball when the opportunity is thrown your way. You have to be able to sort of pick up the opportunity and go for it.
But I don't want to drive people away from our terrific podcast, because we do. You and I put out a lot of terrific shows together. But Mark Maron's interview with Simon Pegg is well worth seeking out.
Yeah,
this is going to make me sound like a fanboy. Can we say fan man now? Can I turn myself into a fan man?
No, that sounds weird.
I'm gonna go with it. I'm fan man.
Okay, you're fan man and I'm fanboy.
I'm a fan man,
and we're fighting crime.
And you know, I've listened to it more than once now because I feel like there's so much wisdom in there in that conversation. Well, two really smart guys at the peak of their careers,
and that's kind of I think, you know what, that's emblematic of some of our issues with the movie, as people will discover in the review. But I think that we wanted a slightly smarter movie, and the movie kind of reaches for well-trodden ground, especially from these three guys.
Yeah.
You know, like, and all of that stuff that they've done before with Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead was fresh and out of nowhere. And this was a little bit expected, you know, and the stuff that was unexpected.
It's predictable, you know. As soon as it takes a turn at that midway point, and then from there on, every scene that you see after that, you've seen before.
Yeah, and honestly, the ways that we get into the action comedy stuff that they have in the movie, which is kind of what, you know, you pay your ticket price for when you get these three on the bill, isn't as big as you would want it to be. It's not as funny, and it's not as action-packed as they've gone before, or as you can imagine them with all of the resources of their career allowing them to go. You know, like, it just didn't go as big in as many directions and as many ways as you wanted it.
Right. Well, I mean, I think we expected a more evolved movie. We expected something a little more profound.
Because some of it is.
Some of it is, and it sort of touches on some larger issues, but then at the moment that you expect it to really explore those issues, it winces away from them and moves off into a totally familiar territory, easier territory for the movie to go into. And for these guys who have very sophisticated tools in their toolbox at this point, they've been working together for a long time. They've been writing together, brainstorming movies together. You're right. I just expected more. It's not fresher or more interesting or more mature than Shaun of the Dead. Not even close. I don't think so. I think Shaun of the Dead is a much better movie. I think it's a better movie than Hot Fuzz. And this movie is, of the three of them, this is the least of the three. And that's unfortunate because these guys, I still love these guys. I'll see them in anything.
Yeah, me too.
Even if they're not working together, I'll still see them. Simon Pegg's in anything. Nick Frost is in anything. Edgar Wright directs anything.
Agreed.
I am there for these guys until the end. But this movie, all this movie did was make me wish that I still drank. I mean, I miss drinking so much, and I wish that I could go on this pub crawl, but I just know I can't live that way anymore. That there's nothing good. There's only the Gary King, you know, prize at the end, which is there's nothing. You just wind up being a loser.
So.
You know?
We haven't been talking about video games too much on the podcast the last little while. We've talked a little bit about Kingdom Rush. Well, the top 100 stuff that we've been shooting has been taking all of our time, and we've really kind of been crunching over the last few weeks, trying to get ahead on shooting it. I think partially in anticipation of the new machines and the new stuff that's coming out.
It does. We are at the end of a cycle. We're at the start of a new cycle, and it does feel like that doing the top 100 games is a way to sort of say goodbye to maybe a previous era and maybe previous versions of ourselves.
Totally.
You know, want to get sophisticated.
Look, everything sort of just played out that it was the perfect time to do all of this stuff, and I love the feedback on the top 100. It's been incredible to read, even if people hate our choices.
Except for the jerks.
Yeah, or they hate that we're doing it, or they hate that we're using old game. I love all of the reasons why we're doing it, by the way, so there's no hate that you can send my way that will, you know, dismount my enjoyment of this whole process. But one of the things that I am really looking forward to is jumping back on games, because in the last little while I've been taking slivers of my life to jump into Saints Row, jump into Disney Infinity. We've actually got a review of that coming up very soon, and also Splinter Cell Blacklist. And those are three pretty damn in my opinion, in my estimation, pretty terrific August video games.
Yeah, for August they are pretty good. But listen, I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
This isn't going to make you happy.
What's that?
I never finished The Last of Us.
Oh, dude.
I never got to the end.
Oh, man.
And so the last weekend I sat down, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I put in the time and plowed all the way through to the end. And then I tried to play Saints Row 4 after that, and you can't do that.
No,
like,
you can't.
I was looking at all the other games in my collection, even Splinter Cell Blacklist. Like I looked at everything, and I thought, you know what, my appetite for games is back, and it's, you know, I'm craving games, and then all I ended up doing was starting a new game plus. in The Last of Us. There's no other place I wanted to go.
You can't climb to the top of the mountain and then go to a game that kind of parodies video games in a way.
The whole thing ending with Joel's lie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything more than that, but just ending with that moment is so mature and profound. And
it's a story, man. Like it's a real
Jesus Christ.
It's a real.
Like blew my head clean off.
There's like a modern myth in the way that they put that together. Like it borrows from stuff that we're really familiar with, but the you know, in the same emotional context as anything that Robert Kirkman has done with The Walking Dead. I mean, it's up to that stature, you know, like it is.
But I want all games to be that good now.
I know.
And now what do? How do I go back? What else? How am I going to play this other stuff? I'm playing Saints Row 4 and it's just fucking absurd. And I just feel so stupid. I feel myself getting dumber.
It's like The Naked Gun as a video game. I know.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But
it's
you
not
know
even
what?
Funny or entertaining.
Well, here's what we need: gaps, man, and we need smaller titles. We need Kingdom Rush breaks. You know, you need to play. Like that's why I love jumping into Star Wars pinball on the iPad. You know, I like to play little bits and pieces of different things.
I want to talk about one special moment from the game. I love hunting the deer.
Yeah, I know.
I love the way the whole game just stops and makes you fucking hunt this deer. I love that. How bold is that from an artistic point of view?
Major Last of Us spoilers in this, by the way.
And then the other thing...
But the giraffe sequence...
Well, the giraffe's nice, but listen, there's the sequence where Ellie is alone in the village, and there's just bad guys everywhere.
I'm going to blow your mind right now.
No, listen, I'm not done.
Okay.
And so I didn't know how to get through this sequence.
Yeah.
And so I thought she's not powerful enough to take these guys down. I have to somehow run through here and get out of there. Try and die. 45 minutes went by. I whittled down 2 guys. I whittled down 4 guys. I got to the bathroom. I'm hiding in the bathroom. I threw one of my bombs out there. They walked into my bombs. I've got 2 guys left. I died all the way back to the beginning. I whittled down 2 guys. I have never had more fun or been more terrified or been more stressed than I was playing through that sequence in the game. I mean, that is the sweet spot. That is why I spent 15 hours playing that game. Are you looking at your phone? What are you doing over there?
I am, because Nolan North is in The Last of Us, and I just want to make sure because he's totally unrecognizable. And
yeah, he's the bad guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the bad guy, and they don't even really make use of his Nolan Northness.
Yeah,
and I even like the boss fight at the end too. I mean, it's not really a typical boss fight. They realize they still have to do something that makes it feel game-like.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go over the top. He doesn't mutate into a fucking monster. Nothing crazy happens. You just kind of have to watch him and wait and pick your moment. And I love that burning restaurant that you're in at the end. I mean, every step of the way, the entire game had a terrific sense of place.
I know.
Like, and then I go to Saints Row 4. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't want to. I can't.
What else can be Game of the Year besides The Last of Us? I mean, I know we have big titles coming. I know we have, Assassin's Creed 4, and we have.
That's not going to be Game of the Year.
The Grand Theft Auto 5, and
there's no game that's going to go further in the name of giving us actual characters, people to care about, a story to care about, parts of the game that are frustrating, parts of the game that anger you, parts of the game that make you want to quit. I mean, this was an emotional tour de force.
Yep, absolutely incredible. Well, we need all kinds of games, and actually right now we're going to be talking with someone that built a small game that really broke into our hearts in a very, very big way. We're talking to Ryan Holowaty from Noodle Cake. Please welcome to the basement, Ryan Holowaty. He is the master of the universe at Noodle Cake Games. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad. I don't mind that title either.
Yeah, welcome. You can put that on your business card. That's cool.
Ryan, before we go any further, what kind of name is Holowaty? And if you're playing along at home, it is Holowaty.
That, my friend, is deep Ukrainian. Actually, in the motherland, it's a V. It's Holowaty, which apparently I've been told is like Smith over there. But I guess we lost the V in translation years ago.
It's a beautiful name, and you guys have made a beautiful game there at Noodle Cake. You guys have done it and done it again, and somehow, some way, Vic is over there jamming.
I love the music in Super Stickman Golf too. Did you do this, Ryan?
No, I can't take credit for that.
It's the Holowaty theme song?
It's so cool. It should be our podcast theme music. It's awesome.
Well, they're using it already on Super Stickman Golf.
That's true, right?
And some copyright. Yeah, no, we had a couple guys actually most of the music was done by this guy named Whitaker Trebella, who's actually a
Whitaker Trebella. Listen to these names.
Yeah, wow. he just actually released Pivot. I'm not sure if you played that.
Yeah, it was just on the show.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's got super awesome music as well. So he actually got started doing game music for mobile games, and we had him on Stick Golf 1, and then he came on with 2 and did most of the music. But the theme song you're hearing actually is done by a guy locally who's a brother-in-law of one of the guys on the Noodle Cake team. So it was a cool submission he just gave us.
What I love about this game is it has a home-cooked quality.
Me too.
Oh,
It feels like it's something that came from. It's like the stuff your mom cooks upstairs in the kitchen and sends down to the basement for us.
There's also
there's warmth in it. There's heart,
and there's also a sense of permanence about it, as if it was an artifact that was unearthed that had always been around. It just feels like this franchase that has been here since the beginning of video games.
It's like an arcade game from 1979 that we just never discovered.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Was that the design doc? Was that something that you guys specifically set out to do when you created the first game?
Timeless.
Yeah, timeless. That was the number one thing we were thinking. No, I mean, it's just, I don't know. We just made games that we wanted to play, and we took a simple arcadey concept and just kind of expanded on that. And the first version of the game, Stick Golf 1, was kind of more of a prototype to see if we were actually onto something, and people seemed to like it. And so, I know, hopefully you can tell that Stick Golf 2 is kind of just a iteration on that with a little bit more time and money put into it to try and make it, a little bit more substantial. We'll flesh it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Obviously, the first game was a breakout hit, and the sequel has come along now, and there were some expectations, and you guys really did deliver with a terrific sequel. Are you guys getting, more leg now because you're better known in the video game industry? I mean, you guys must be getting laid all the time.
For the babes.
That's right. Well known. That's the only reason to make games.
The only reason. It's the babes and the money, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny, in Saskatoon here, people don't really... making video games isn't really something that's on most people's radar around here.
You can walk into any bar room or tavern, or
Yeah, you'd think that would work around here.
Hey,
but
I make video games. Hey, baby.
A Noodle Cake shirt has been recognized more times in San Francisco than it has been in Saskatoon.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, tell us about Noodle Cake. I mean, where did you guys come from? Did you have any roots in video game development? Did you come from other studios, and like, did some people move back to Saskatoon?
Does anyone golf there?
Yeah, like what's the history of the group?
Actually, golfing, yes. The crew, actually, every Wednesday morning, which today, when this is being recorded, everybody goes out and has a round. So,
oh, that's awesome.
But no, actually, roots, none. Most of us grew up locally or within, a couple hours of Saskatoon.
Yep.
And 5 of us, there's only 8 guys at Noodle Cake, which a lot of people think there's a lot more. But
that's surprising. I thought there would be more.
Yeah, no.
I've seen studios with more people put out lesser games, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 5 of us, actually, we started working together quite a few years back at just a web development firm in the city, and we all kind of got to know each other, and it was basically when Mr. Jobs changed everything with the App Store. We decided we wanted to try and take a crack at making some apps, and at the time, games were kind of the big go-to, and it was a coincidence because all of us were, gamers from way back.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a fit that seemed to just be perfect, so it's like, let's decide to try something, and it all kind of evolved out of that. The first iterations of Stick Golf were done spare time, and there was no studio to speak of, and it was all kind of a labor of love and without any like venture capital money or anything like that. And we just kind of worked at it for a couple of years, and it paid off for us in the end.
And so, what is the situation with your company now? Is that something that are you guys financed, from outside, or is this all still just you're bootstrapping it from the money that you're earning from your games?
A personal question.
Well, what I'm hoping to do with this conversation is kind of encourage, more development and more sort of creativity in this space.
I see. You want people to believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
People to believe and be inspired, because I think this is an incredibly inspiring story.
Yeah, no, we're 100% bootstrapped right now. Every dime we make off Stick Golf comes right to us. So it's been good. I mean, it's not to scare anybody off. It was a lot of hard work, but like you said, it really pays off, and I feel like those shows like Dragon's Den and stuff glamorize the whole business starting process these days, and they kind of leave out the whole, you actually got to work hard at stuff, and it paid off, and you know, we don't owe anybody any money anymore, or we never have. But there were some tough times going through all this, like any startup. But stick with it, and you know, you never know what's going to happen.
I think it's very emblematic of the evolution or de-evolution of the App Store, because I mean, you look at the visuals in this game, and they're literally just stick figures.
Yeah,
and it really, I don't know if you guys were the first one, but it did seem like there were a whole bunch of these stick figure kind of action games for a while. And you guys really did separate from the pack.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that's funny too is if you look at our stick guy compared to what the other stick characters are, he doesn't really look like them. He's a lot fatter and, you know, has a weird rounded shape to him. But it was all done basically on the, you know, it was playing around with the physics engine at the time, trying to make something work. And it was, you know, if you couldn't tell, there's some obvious influence from, you know, games like Worms Golf and stuff in there. And it was, you know, we were playing around with that type of physics model, and we just needed something as a place filler. Yeah. And so did some simple art for it. And to be honest, we actually kind of pigeonholed ourselves into the branding, because when Stick Golf came out, it was just that. It was an experiment to see if we could make this golf game with like a little stick figure. And it did well enough that it didn't make sense for us to drop that name. And even when we went into Stick Golf 2, we had, you know, serious talks about changing the branding and changing the name because of somewhat of a negative connotation towards stick figure games, and we didn't want to be pigeonholed into that.
Yeah, but you guys owned it, you know, when you kick ass at something.
Yeah, exactly. We decided to just own up to it and just stuck with it, and that's why we have the new characters and stuff in this one too, that try and, you know, give some variety to it, to show that, you know, we're not just a simple stick figure thing, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard this story or if Ben Silverman or Jose
I love this story.
have told you this, but when you guys, and I don't know if our our audience has heard this, but when you guys released Super Stickman Golf, it was right around one of the E3 Critics Tours, and that's a tour where a bunch of the top critics from the industry, from a bunch of the biggest outlets, IGN, Game Informer, GameSpot, Kotaku, everybody gets together. They get shuttled around to different events, and we get behind-the-scenes looks at all of this upcoming stuff.
The veil is lifted.
Yeah, for the
sneak
stuff
peeks.
A little bit earlier than E3, so that some of the judging process around all of the titles that get launched at E3 can start, a little bit sooner than just at the show floor. It's a great thing that Jeff Keighley and Rob Smith put together every year. Super Stickman Golf came out, and everybody on the tour, all of the people, I wasn't on that tour, this was just told, secondhand from Jose and Ben, they were all addicted to your game, and everybody was playing the multiplayer and challenging each other, trying to get the top scores, and it became the game of that tour, even though everybody was looking at all this incredible
AAA, multi-million-dollar, 250-person team. We've outsourced this to Korea. We've outsourced that to China. We're pulling it all together, and everyone's playing your game.
How does that feel?
It was pretty awesome. I'm aware of this story just because, first of all, when it started and E3 was going on, obviously we were watching and paying attention to all the news leading up to E3, and I remember starting to just see our Twitter feed and just a Twitter search going on for Stick Golf at the time that just is always kind of running to see what people are saying, and we kept starting to see these tweets from people we were reading about, like we read daily, and they're like, oh, Stick Golf game of E3, and we're like, what? How did this happen? And then I found out that it was actually Russ Frushtick from Polygon, who initially started everything. He was with, I think, MTV Games at the time or something.
That's right.
And kind of got onto the game. And then he was the one who introduced it on the bus, and then it kind of just spread like wildfire. And then next thing we knew, that was all anybody was talking about for that trip. So it was kind of one of those perfect storm scenarios for us.
You got perfect amount of press coverage from every outlet out there, including ours. And we all fell in love with the game, and now we're infatuated with the sequel.
Yeah, and the thing that I think really enamors the game and your company to people is the fact that you guys release these terrific updates that just, I mean, you think you've already gotten the game and you've gotten what you've paid for, and then whoa, wait a second. It's like being stopped on the way out the store and being given something free.
Yeah.
And you guys are so terrific about that. Tell me some of the thinking that goes into, this over-delivering of a product.
I mean, it could just be maybe our Saskatchewan demeanor. I don't know, but
you're nice Canadians.
We're just too nice. Yeah, I don't know. For us, it's definitely one of those things that when customers are supporting our product like that and players are so into it, it's not very hard for us to want to give them more. So when we did the first Stick Golf and the amount of updates we had, that was something that, unfortunately, when I guess not a big problem, but when the E3 stuff happened, it was kind of near the end of that game's life cycle, to be honest. And we had already released a few level packs from there, so the amount of content that these guys were finding out for the first time was pretty staggering. And so when we launched Stick Golf 2, we had to par back, our expectations a little bit and say this is, we can't release with 250 holes like we had the last game because it's just we're never going to get it done. But we wanted to make sure that if the game was good, of course, and people liked it, we would continue to support it and give out more and more courses because it's something that obviously makes the game what it is and what we're known for, and we wouldn't want to shy away from that.
Well, tell us a little bit about the games business right now, and obviously you guys adapted the in-app purchase model a little bit with Stickman Golf 2. What is the state of our industry right now, from your perspective?
It's shifting. I mean, right now, in general in gaming, with the new consoles coming and everything, it's tough to know. It's exciting, and especially with things like Ouya showing up now and people making these stabs at, the smaller games on TV and the support of the indie scene on consoles and things like that. So it's I feel like the middle tier is kind of falling out a little bit, and it's turning more into smaller independent teams, mainly just because of the fact that you can still be profitable and support it, and there's still obviously a business to making games that needs to be adhered to. And so if you can't make a giant blockbuster game that's going to turn your revenue for you, it does make more sense financially and business wise to do something smaller. So I think that's why you're seeing obviously so many big studios breaking up and going under, and little teams popping up here and there, and consumers are changing, in my opinion, too, quite a bit, because there's so many gamers, especially because of mobile, that don't identify themselves as gamers, but those people actually make up more of the consumers playing your game than the people who identify as gamers. So I think people are trying to find ways to talk to them better, and that's why you're seeing Plants vs. Zombies going freemiumed like crazy for the sequel here recently and things like that, because they know that they can reach such a wider breadth of people if it's free than if they were to do it a premium paid game.
Yeah, it's sort of analogous to advertising and television, I guess, in some ways, right? Yeah, except that the spots, the commercials are built right into the entertainment, and you just buy it right from there. I mean, do you, as a gamer, do you have any offense to this in-app purchase kind of world that we're living in right now? I mean, you guys have obviously sort of had to adopt it with your game, but as somebody that's played video games for a long time, is it something that kind of makes your skin crawl at the same time?
It can. I mean, there's things that people can do, obviously, that are just purely exploiting users and players, and that's obviously gross, and we don't want to do that kind of stuff. And we're very careful with how we do that stuff. But there is a bottom line to this in some regards, that you can make the best game you possibly could, but there's a lot of noise out there too, especially if you're a mobile developer. And if it's not seen and you put in all this time and it's a premium game for $10 and no one's ever heard of you and you can't market it and it fails, you're not going to get to make another game. And so for us, it's balancing, we want to continue doing this as a job because we love it. So sometimes you have to do things that, I wouldn't say are unethical, but they're just different because it's the way the industry is right now and it's the way the market is. And that market is dictating, this is the way you make revenue, and so that's how we kind of have to adapt to it.
Hey Ryan, I want to do a little role play with you. Nothing kinky or anything like that, but but are you ready?
All right.
So shoot. I'm a young guy. I worked at a large game company for a long time, and I just got laid off, and I want to make my own video game, and I've got a vision, an idea for what I want to do. What advice can you give me? Where should I go? What should I do? Who should I talk to?
I would say, first of all, try and build something, even if it's something on paper. We kind of live to the ideas are useless philosophy, and if you can actually show me something and have something, then that's the first step.
Okay.
And that's kind of what Stickman was like. You got that?
On paper. Got it.
Give me something that I can get my head around. Don't just tell me I've got this great idea.
So sketches and maybe like some sort of design document, something like that?
There's so many things online, even simple prototyping stuff. I mean, I'm a business guy at our office, and I can prototype stuff out in Keynote and make game demos for people to look at. So anybody can do this stuff. The tools are available, that's for sure. So
I'm also a Scorpio, and I enjoy walks on the beach.
That's Match.com is what you're looking for.
Okay, Ryan's not the guy to talk to.
Yeah, no, Match.com.
So yeah, I would do that, and then just talk to people in the industry. I mean, especially guys that are kind of more in our position, like smaller teams, indies.
Okay.
Go to GDC, absolutely. Yeah, that helped us a lot the first time we ever went there. We got to meet people that were other developers and people in the media, like you guys, that we would, hound to try and get coverage from initially, and we never could. But then I had a little sit down with Justin over at IGN, who's the mobile editor, and next thing we knew, he's
do this at GDC. Oh my God, that's Tim Schafer.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, we saw like Gabe Newell and things like that. Kind of freaked out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, that's the cool thing about the video game business, is that people are very accessible and approachable, and generally there is not a tremendous amount of celebrity or crazy ego.
There are some dicks, but the list is pretty short.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an accepting group. I think because video games, as everybody knows that builds them, are incredibly difficult to make, and people that have the tenacity to stick with it and build something that kind of resonates, even just one product or even just for a little while, there's always a great deal of hat tip and respect for people like that. I have to ask about Noodle Cake and Super Stickman Golf and other games for sure, but specifically Stickman Golf. Are we going to see this thing on the Vita and the 3DS? Are we going to see this on traditional gaming platforms? Or are you guys going to kind of stick with the mobile and Ouya's and other kinds of things like that?
It's always a possibility. I mean, if it makes sense for us and we can spare the time to do it, and it's something that has a high enough demand for the product, then absolutely. I mean, we would love to see the game on Vita. To be honest, I would love to have it on a handheld, and who knows, especially with the way the PS4 indie kind of cross-play stuff that's going on. I mean, it seems like if one's on Vita, one's going to be on the system too, which would be pretty mind-blowing for us to think that something we made would be on a major console like that.
I have a question.
I think it'll happen.
I have a question. Well, we'll wait and see, Vic. All right.
Okay.
I'm waiting. Everything all the time.
I do.
So you guys are based in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Yep.
Would you guys have made the same game if you were, based in New York or in Florida? Or is there something in the water and the air in Saskatoon that has gotten into that game and influenced the game in some tangible way?
It could just kind of harken back to being such a small place. You kind of got to make fun out of whatever you have, and it's simple fun, and that's kind of what the game is, and that's kind of what.
How small is it there?
Have you been there? I love Saskatoon. It's a great city.
From there, right?
Yeah, it's a great city.
She is. Yeah.
I did a cross-Canada tour when I was a kid, and that was one of the most memorable places I went to. I really liked the city. Great vibe.
Vic never says anything nice.
I grew up in a town of 1,200 people, so I mean, I come from a pretty small roots.
Okay.
I've been to Kindersley, Saskatchewan, and I enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah?
What's that?
That's a couple hours away. Yeah. That's very small.
Ryan is apologizing for that one.
So let's talk about other types of games. I know you guys made something that seemed to be like an ode to Moon Patrol, but do you have, what was that game called?
That was Lunar Racer.
Lunar Racer, which was fun.
Actually kind of more of a I don't know. It's one thing that we also kind of key towards at the office, and I don't know why this is, but it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
We really like having fun with friends, and that's something that with mobile devices is kind of tough, and you don't see a lot of games doing it just because there's a lot of networking challenges and things. So we kind of wanted to take the classic feeling and franticness of like Mario Kart that everybody kind of compared the race mode in stick golf to, and actually apply it to a vehicle-based game, and that was kind of the iteration of that. Plus, I think at the time Tiny Wings had just come out, so there was kind of an influence there with the curviness and the rounded world type levels and things like that. So it was kind of more of an experiment in a kart racer, more traditional way anyways.
So you guys have other kinds of concepts up your sleeve, or are we going to be veering away from...
You can't talk about that,
You can tease a little bit. This is what this is about. He's being interviewed.
You can't tell us that.
Tell us some secrets, Ryan. Come on.
Well, we do have not one, but 2 Oculus Rifts at the office right now.
Very cool.
So there's
draw whatever conclusions you want to draw from that.
But
we might see Super Stickman's butt.
But, well, I don't know. It may not be
we can
a
see
Stickman
everything
game,
in
but
3D.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we might have to get rid of the Stickman moniker if we're going to go full Oculus.
So you guys might be making an Oculus Rift game?
We have them. I mean,
with 8 of you guys, what would you do? Don't you have to create a whole world?
Prototypes.
Really?
I think the thing that that kind of sticks out with stick golf is that it doesn't have to be crazy complex. It just has to be fun.
Right. Holy shit! A 3D stick. So you would be the Stickman in that situation.
I have no idea. Like I said, we've got a ton of different prototypes. Actually,
you've just blown my mind. I love that we've got this exclusive scoop that we're going to have a first-person Stickman golf.
Nope, it's not a scoop there at all.
Sorry, Oculus
Ryan.
Rift next year.
You know how he is, Ryan. Ryan,
I've got wow. Next year it's coming out.
Ryan, you guys work fast.
Do you want me to hit him with a blow dart? I'll take him right down.
Ryan, what are you excited about with these new machines coming in and all these games that have been announced and stuff? I mean, it's been, like this week especially, we've got the Gamescom announcements coming in like crazy. What's coming up that you're hyped for?
Even though the new consoles are kind of the big thing right now, it kind of happened on the last generation too. The end of the current generation always seems to produce the best stuff. So I'm probably the most excited for Grand Theft Auto right now.
Right.
Like everybody else in the world, I think.
That's the game we refer to as the month of September.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so bad for beating games and playing through games right now. I'm still working at The Last of Us right now, which I'm loving, but I just haven't been able to dedicate the time to getting to that 8 hours done or whatever it is. But it's tough to say with the new generation. I'll admit there isn't anything that's really jumping out at me. Like, I mean, Watch Dogs is going to be on both generations anyways, so that's something else I'm looking forward to. So as far as exclusives go, I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I mean, that could change overnight with one announcement. So I'm not worried about it or anything like that. I'm just looking forward to the new hardware and seeing what people do with it.
When you look at a game like Watch Dogs or Grand Theft Auto 5, is that something that you would hope to be on a team to be able to build? Is that something that you'd like maybe aspire to grow Noodle Cake to be a huge team that can build something like that?
They have their own niche there.
Well, no, I'm questioning because I mean, what is that like as a game maker to see a game like that?
I think the thing with those games are super impressive, but when it comes to building them, the teams are so big that you kind of, I think you feel like your sense of accomplishment is that you designed that one car that the guy drives.
You work on some guy's shoe for like 6 months, and that's all you do. If they're at Noodle Cake, they get to build the whole thing. They own the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a sense of
rowing on a slave ship.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I think. I think it would
at
feel
the end
that
of the day, though, a lot of those guys get to say, "I helped make Grand Theft Auto 5."
Yeah, they get laid all the time.
They get all the leg. If you're wondering who's getting all the leg, it's the Grand Theft Auto 5 people.
Not the Saskatoon Noodle Cake guys.
No, that's what's wrong.
So when are you guys going to come out here and party with us down in the basement?
I don't know. I think we're open to it anytime.
Does that sound like
fun? It sounded pretty weird, but I think we're game for it, man.
You know what? The ceilings are low. We've got one of those half refrigerators that is always full.
We have a broken Rock Band guitar. All the drums are there, though. Yeah.
The drums still work.
Yeah, and I actually have that fog machine for Rock Band, so it'll be a party.
That's right. We have the movie Drive going 24 hours a day.
I think what worries me is the pit in the corner with the basket and the lotion bottle in it. I don't know what that's all about.
Oh, don't pay any attention to that. That's just where I lotion up.
That's the fun. Right. That's the fun spot.
That's how Vic and
fun pit.
That's how Vic and I maintain our young faces. We moisturize everything.
It's the Lazarus pit.
Oh man, it's so good to hear your voice and to visit with you again, my friend.
Yeah,
Saskatoon.
Thanks, guys.
We can't wait to come out and visit you guys. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we want to party with you. Are your ceilings low? Do you have a half fridge out there? If not, we're not coming.
We'll accommodate for you.
All right, big hugs to everybody at Noodle Cake. Thank you so much, Ryan.
All 8 of everybody there. We can give them all 8 hugs there. That's a team we can hug out.
Absolutely.
Easily. One big group hug.
Take care. Can't wait for your next one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Man, I love that Ryan Holowaty. He's such a good guy.
You know what I love? Noodle Cake Games, and I love Super Stickman Golf 2, which could be Game of the Century.
If only Kingdom Rush didn't come out.
Well, I know that is the game I used to play before Kingdom Rush came along. And you know what? I'm going to hazard a guess and say that those guys are probably playing a little bit of Kingdom Rush at the office.
We have to blend the two.
As well.
We have to have
Kingdom
a Tower
Rush
Defense
Golf
game.
2.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody do that. That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, golf built right into the thing.
You know what this podcast is?
Yeah.
Free $1 million ideas. That's what we should start calling it instead of Vic's Basement.
You know what this podcast is?
What?
A hell of a lot of fun. We are so lucky to be able to talk to
why do you have to make it corny? We're supposed to make it weird at the end.
I'm not
you know
corny.
what this
I'm
podcast
sincere.
is?
You know what you are?
It's
you are cynical.
Hell of a lot of fun.
You know, if we take your cynicism and my sincerity, you have something pretty good, I think.
You know, you make me laugh, my friend.
I know.
You make me cry, you make me laugh,
guy.
you make me cringe, you make me want to throw my toupee on the ground and do a dance on it.
I'm important to you. I get it.
So I was walking to work today, and I walked by one of those convertibles.
Yeah.
You ever seen those? They got those around the city now. The weather's good here.
So they got the roof comes off.
Yeah, would you ever own one of those?
No, my hair would fly all over the fucking place.
That's what I was thinking. Like the two of us, we'd be like women in a 1950s movie with our kerchiefs over our head and our giant sunglasses, driving around in our convertible.
I already look like Heat Miser from one of those old Bank and Rass Christmas animated things.
You know, but maybe having the top down might improve our hair.
Might.
We don't know.
Might.
Shit, here we are talking about hair again.
Never going to happen.
And why am I walking around thinking about you and me driving around in a convertible? That's the larger, more existential question.
I don't know.
Maybe we may never get the answer to that.
Maybe you think we should be in a remake of Miami Vice or something.
Or what's that one with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan?
Turner and Hooch.
All right, let's get out of here. That was enough for one day, I think.
All right. That was an awesome convo, and I can't wait till next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
So long, Stitcher!
And also iTunes. And
rate us and tell your friends. We need more listeners. Let's get 5 more listeners by next week.
5 more listeners, and remember, put a rubber on it.